All right, everyone, we head into our final hour. Welcome to the TLGS 2022 conference. My name is Wendy Doucette from East Tennessee State University. I'll be collecting questions in the chat for this session, which is called New Professional Doctorate Program, offers new opportunities for embedded librarianship with policy practitioners.
Thank you, Wendy. Hello, I'm Susie Skarl, and I am the Urban Affairs Library Liaison at UNLV Libraries. And I am going to discuss today one of our new doctorate programs that deals with public policy practitioners and how it turned out to be an opportune time to get into embedded librarianship with the program. And provided my slides are working. And again, I did want to thank all of the attendees for coming as well. So I did want to provide some details of a teaching faculty library liaison partnership for a new public policy doctoral program. And this is more for practitioners rather than a traditional program where somebody may want to get into academics. So we tried what I'm going to talk about is a multi-part strategic approach that we use to introduce professional practitioners to library research, and that really focused on their research assignments, policy white papers, and since they're not doing a dissertation, a major capstone project. And after discussing that, I wanted to focus on what we're hoping to do next. So just a little bit about UNLV for those of you who may not have are familiar with my institution. It's a relatively young institution. Our first campus building was in 1957. And of course, the world has changed since then. Now, as of fall 2021, we have over 30,000 students. And as of December 2018, we are an R1 high research Carnegie classification. So in a relatively short time, we've come a long way at UNLV. And regarding the libraries, we, as probably many of you, have the similar type of philosophy in your university, where the library liaison program has a strong collaboration component with teaching faculty as well as students. And in particular, I did want to talk briefly about the Greenspun College of Urban Affairs. It was created back in 1996 and has over that time period, some major changes have taken place. Now there are 5 schools or departments, depending which discipline you're talking about. There's over 3,700 undergrads, 432 master's students, as well as 105 doctoral students in various programs. And in particular, the school I'm going to be discussing is the School of Public Policy and Leadership. And at the present time, they have 1 undergrad program, 2 grad certificates, 2 master's programs, and 2 PhD programs. And the Doctor of Public Policy, DPP, as you'll be hearing it called for my presentation for short, began back in 2018. And it's a professional doctorate program designed for individuals who are interested in developing skills in policymaking, implementation. And so they are dealing with real policies. Sure, they're looking at theories, but they're really getting into the weeds with policies. And the good majority of the students are employed by all levels of government or higher education. And at the present time, 44 students are enrolled. and it's a hybrid program. And of course, due to COVID, it's been all virtual since 2020. And it's a 3-year program over 6 semesters. And regarding faculty partnerships, chances are with your schools as well, it's nothing new that we're all doing. Like, here's just an example of a faculty institute that UNLV did back in 2018, where teaching faculty worked with librarians to kick it up a notch. Instead of the traditional research paper, they're trying different creative assignments with technology and a lot of other things. So just for an example, so our partnership plans have really excelled, I think, expanded over the last decade or so. So regarding the partnership I'm discussing today, it's the partnership with the DPP teaching faculty and yours truly, the Urban Affairs Librarian. And just for the sake of showing off our architecture, there's the College of Urban Affairs building and our library. So what we did, just a heads up about what was going on with the DPP program started, like your typical new program. So we kind of have gone through a number of changes in a short time. At first, I was, of course, invited to the orientation and had a few instruction sessions, as well as numerous LibGuides for different classes. And that was going well enough. However, back in 2020, due to an assortment of changes, the DPP program became, that when I say we, I have been included in a lot of the changes. So we wanted to really reach out when it comes to research with this student. So, and the new program coordinator is someone I had worked with and collaborated with in his previous assignments. So when he was appointed as DPP coordinator, he reached out to me via email and said, "Help, please." So we scheduled numerous meetings as we planned, what he was going to do and what we could do in the library to help him and to help the students. So there's a lot of different, it's kind of, as you can see, kind of about six to eight different things we're doing. So the first thing I want to mention is at the not just DPP, but the School of Public Policy and Leadership, there's a couple each semester, there's a major orientation. And I've been invited to that, and that includes the various master's programs like MPA and the Masters of Urban Leadership, as well as the doctoral program in public administration and the DPP program. So all these grads and doctoral students come together for their orientation. And what's been really great, in addition to hanging out and introducing them to the library, the faculty has, their idea was to not just do a brief orientation about meeting the librarian, but also doing a basic kind of an introduction to research at the orientation. So, providing some slides, providing some info about the research process. And over the course of the past couple of years, the teaching faculty has said this was a really good way to get people not so, can we say, nervous or scared about the research process. And we've also gotten a lot of good feedback from the students. So With that in mind, here is just, and of course, LibGuides are a big part of what we all do. So here's the welcome to UNLV orientation, which includes a PowerPoint and really digging into the research. And with that in mind, we also go over not just the library things, but tutorials, the research process, and a lot of other things. And just so you know, many of the people going back to these programs, both the master's and doctoral programs, have not been to school in well over a decade. So that's not true of everybody, but a good deal of our students have been working in government, have been working in higher education. So they are getting a big refresher course to the research process. But the next thing that we planned with the coordinator, instead of just having one instruction session, we start out by providing them with a basic LibGuide. Just again, a heads up on where to find research, everything from, of course, our databases, Google Scholar, considering they're in public policy, lots of data, lots of gov information, as well as think tanks. So we really want to familiarize them with this. And within, let's say this is, of course, provided for them week number 1. And within the next week or two, the students start, this is again in the DPP program, they're starting to ponder their research interest. And what the professor does, the students provide their research interest to me, and of course, their professor, so that we can kind of get an idea of what they're really interested in. And with that in mind, what we then do, and this, I get this usually about 10 days before we have our workshop. And with that in mind, what I do for each student, and this is a relatively small cohort, like last semester, I think there were only 12 students. So I tried just knowing briefly about their research interests. I try some basic research starting points, 3 to 5 possible sources that I think, or at least I hope, will get them on the right track. And from there, the following, let's say 10 days later, this is a weekend program. So Fridays and Saturdays, I'm hanging out with doctoral students, both Friday evening and most of the day on Saturdays. And the way the current coordinator has it set up, which I thought was a great idea, we meet in small groups, let's say 4 students at a time, and they have similar interests. So let's say the people interested in health-related policy issues all meet at the same time. The people interested in poverty issues would meet on the next section. The education people next. So that way, they are in with similar interests, which is good, and can learn from each other. And back to my notes here. What we try to do is when we meet with the small group, let's say four at a time, each student is allowed 10 minutes to present their research interests and what they're hoping to do, how they're going to dig into a policy, and what they're going to get out of it in their research for their eventual capstone project. So, let's say the first student provides the whole group, me included, with their 10 minutes. And then I present to them, some actual starting points. But to be honest with you, sometimes after hearing more about their research, they're not always on the right track. So to be honest with you, these small groups are really beneficial, not just for me and the professor, but I've been told honestly beneficial for the students, because I keep saying, hey, it's more like a talk show, because they present, then I present to them and ask them questions. So, and then of course, the coordinator professor also adds some really great feedback and some really good questions. And again, we make sure everybody has an equal amount of time to really discuss their interest and to talk about the research process. And sometimes, it goes for where you think they want to discuss or what they're wanting to research. After more details, you find out that you're not quite on the right track. A good deal of the time, the professor and I are, but like I keep saying, this talk show really does help the process. And after I meet with all of the groups, it is a bit time consuming, because I do follow-ups, just making sure kind of a little bullet pointed list on what their policy research is. And I also try to add additional resources, as you can see, to their little box on the LibGuide. And from there, we do quite a bit. We're still not done by any stretch, because they are doing all sorts of policy papers and white papers throughout the semester. So we provide all sorts of help for that. And in addition to that, we throughout the semester, they have opportunities for office hours, virtual office hours. And now that we're back in person, they're welcome to come in person as well, although with their schedules and with still lingering COVID and things, most everybody is wanting to meet virtually. So there's virtual office hours, there's research consultation appointments, and always emails. So it is an ongoing, throughout their 6 semesters. They are really big library supporters, and they are asking for help. And it has been a really pretty rewarding. And at the same time, we're not where we want to be yet. We have a lot to go to make sure we're doing everything we can for this unique group of students. And just to see how it grows over, let's say, a 2-semester process. There's a student I've been working with that was looking into maternal health literacy, to the point where, again, her topic changed and evolved over so far 2 semesters. And we meet on a regular basis. And the more we both discover together, not just me, not just the professor, but also the student, it is kind of a team effort. And we continue to update the LibGuide, because since this is an ongoing public policy program, and these are practitioners, we want to make sure future cohorts, like the ones that start in August, have access to all this, as the future, future previous policy ideas, future policy ideas, and so forth. And of course, like everybody else out there, we all have future plans and goals. And one thing that I do admit that I'm way behind on, and I'm blaming it on COVID, but I guess I need to really step this up, and the coordinator agrees. We do want to do a major assessment on the two current cohorts to see how we're doing and how we can improve. Because right now, I'm just thinking of one way I'd like to improve, rather than just seeing, hey, I'm interested in maternal health literacy, just for my example. Having a little more information about what the student is interested in up top might be one way that we can improve the whole process of getting the students on their research track and getting them more comfortable with the research process, knowing much more about what their research interests are before we meet in the talk show format. That might be a way to improve. But again, we do want to survey the students and really find out what's beneficial to them, and what they're still confused by, because we do, like I said, have a number of students. Some have not been in school in a decade. There's a few that haven't been for 20 years. So we really do need to make sure that everybody is getting comfortable with the research process, and not just finding, hey, I need 4 scholarly articles, I need peer-reviewed things, but really a deep dive into policy information. A lot of them had never discovered think tanks, for example, and they're really discovering a lot from that. And since we're talking about future, I do want to talk about it's in the early stages, the pilot project. The director of the School of Public Policy and Leadership and I have worked together for quite a few years. And he has a brand new idea for this program. Again, he's been in on the program, since its beginning in 2018. What he would like to do with his school, as well as the liaison, me, and our collection management team, he wants to make all course resources available. And so his school would help us with the budget and pay for all ebooks that are available for each and every course. And the other thing is, he's crazy about LibGuides. Sorry about my throat, that desert throat today, sorry. But this professor is big into course resource guides. And although we do have quite a few right now, he wants every single course to have a guide with the readings, with the resources, because this is a very evolutionary program. Some of these doctoral courses only last 2 weeks, while some last 4 weeks, and many last the entire semester. And if you guys are on Canvas, we've run into troubles with Canvas to where the faculty member can't get on Canvas till the day their course starts. And many of our instructors are all over the US. They're big policy experts. So if they can't get into our Canvas until the day their actual class starts, it's unfortunate for them as well as the students. And this way, both students and faculty will be able to get into our resources much sooner. So again, this is an ongoing process. And with that in mind, we are meeting with the collections team next week. So we're pretty sure all systems go. But of course, there'll be lots of questions to answer during our meeting next week. So, and again, excuse my desert throat voice. Oops.
Hi, Susie. I apologize. My library is on spring break, and I'm going to have these intermittent beeps as I talk.
Oh, sorry about that. Excuse me just a second.
It's totally my fault. We don't have any questions at the moment, but if anyone has a question that can be answered quickly, please ask. I'd just like to comment and say it's really wonderful to see the kind of relationship you can build when you start out with a small cohort like that. I think it's the best way to get repeat customers as students come back again, because they honestly do have the opportunity to get to know you.
I think you're exactly right. And that has been what's been really kind of one of my takeaways. It's like, hey, they're coming back. This is great. So thank you. That has been something both I found and the professors have found as well. So any other questions?
I don't see any right now. As with all our speakers today, Susie is still here. So if you think of a question a little bit later, you can either message her in the chat, or you can message her tomorrow. She'll be back tomorrow, or add her contact information here.